Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2005 Chrysler Crossfire SRT-6. Up front is a 3.2-liter supercharged V6, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Chrysler Crossfire SRT-6 because it is the SRT-6. I have reviewed basically every version of the Chrysler Crossfire here on the channel. I've done a hardtop, standard coupe, I've done a convertible, and I've done the manual. And so today, we finally get to finish the saga that is the Chrysler Crossfire. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 3.2-liter supercharged V6. Well, if you know anything about this vehicle, you will know that that is a Mercedes engine. So this was a collaboration between Chrysler and Mercedes. So this is the 3.2-liter compressor engine found in the SLK. From the factory, it makes about 330 horsepower, which was 115 more horsepower than the standard Crossfire. So it got an almost 50% horsepower boost with that supercharger. Now, this vehicle has a lot of supporting mods, cold air intakes, injectors, a smaller pulley, things like that to up that horsepower even more. But this was already a pretty zippy vehicle, and the owner has made it just a little bit zippier. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, unfortunately, the SRT-6 only came with the 5-speed automatic. There was no manual option. However, there was a manual option for the standard Crossfire. And the only reason I would really like to see a manual SRT-6 is just because the standard manual Crossfire is so lovely to drive. The manual transmission that they put into that vehicle really blew me away, and I was thoroughly impressed. But this one only came automatic. Last but not least about the Crossfire, it of course is rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Chrysler Crossfire? Well, that's the nice thing. First of all, I love the 2-seater coupe feeling of it. Drives really nice. Visibility is not great. Visibility is the biggest downside for this automobile by far. Kind of feels like you're in a cave a little bit. However, that supercharger is really, really nice because it is very predictable and it's very linear. So as you build up speed, of course it goes faster and faster and faster, but it never throws you off your game. It doesn't blindside you with the power, and that's always been a big benefit of superchargers. This feels a lot more consistent and a lot more solid, if that makes any sense. Turbo cars are a lot of fun, but when they're built and modified, and high-performance turbo cars often have this big lag and then this jolt of power. No, you don't get that in this, and that's really, really nice to see and feel. All right, from a stop, let's see what it can do. A burnout. Struggling for traction. Oh, man. Woo! So not the car that I want to be driving in inclement weather. It was raining earlier this morning, so the road is damp, and that is not helping me at all. Two things. The power's there. This is a powerful automobile. The other thing is that supercharger whine. I hope it came across on camera. I'm going to try to capture it, but sometimes it doesn't pick it up, the frequency. It makes good noises that I am very, very happy to hear here today. All right, one more time. Yeah, I mean, and the power just doesn't die off either. Like, a lot of supercharged cars, they sort of die off towards the top end because it kind of hits its limit. This doesn't really feel that way. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and fuel. In the center is the speedometer, and off to the right is the tachometer that says SRT-6. On the steering wheel, we don't get any forward-facing buttons. I really like the overall design of this interior because of this, and we'll talk more about some other parts a little bit later on, but it has a very minimalist Art Deco sort of feeling, and the steering wheel reinforces that. Nothing to really bother you while you're driving. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent and our headlight switch, and moving on to the door, we don't have anything either. However, something I did want to point out, the owner has added these little cushions you can get for the door handles. The door handles, as they get older, start to chip, and they can actually cut your hand. So, if you own a Crossfire, this is an option for you, and I would highly recommend it. Moving into the center, we get 2 climate control vents. We get our climate controls themselves. Again, I love this sort of polished metal look. Very minimalist as well, but a tasteful minimalism, not a braggiose minimalism. We have our standard Chrysler radio down below. It's actually a standard Mercedes radio. But then we have some buttons for our heated seats. We get traction control off, central locking, our tow mode, because this will set the alarm off if the wheels leave the ground, and our passenger heated seat. Then we do get our airbag off, 12-volt outlet and ashtray, and the shifter in the center. The shifter is surrounded by window switches, so they are found here in the center. Very European, but I like to see it. And then we have our unlabeled power mirror switch in the center. We do get a single cup holder in the center as well, but we'll do a big friggin' bottle test. I don't know if any car has ever failed harder, but you know, Crossfire. We do have a little storage pocket over your right shoulder, and then the seats. The seats are comfortable even for a bigger guy like me. They are heated, and the headrests do have SRT-6 stitched into them. Now, luckily we don't have any back seats, but we do have a trunk, so let's hop back there. All right, we're on the back of the Crossfire SRT-6. And a couple of things to note. We do have the key fob here, which I do want to show. The key fob has this really nice like Chrysler crest in it, which is very, very cool. We can unlock it here. However, there's a latch down here to actually pull the trunk up, and there you go. The trunk is not very spacious. This is probably one of the downsides of the Crossfire. And it's not the fact that the trunk actually itself isn't spacious, it's the opening to get into it because of the design is very narrow. And so you can fit quite a bit of stuff in here, but getting it in there is kind of the issue. So that is what the trunk of an SRT-6 Crossfire looks like. And the spoiler comes up with it. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really enjoy the look of the Crossfire. I think as I get older, I like it even more and more. And as we do the walk around, the SRT-6 does get a different front splitter, gets bigger brakes, different suspension, and that rear spoiler is now fixed, where in lower trim Crossfires, it was actually a movable spoiler. So here is that spoiler from other Crossfires, so you lose the theatrics of having a, you know, active aero spoiler, but the spoiler actually seems like it might do a little bit more. If not, at least it looks more aggressive. And I do have to say, with how this Crossfire looks, it's dramatically better than the concept car. But that's the original concept of the Crossfire. This actually is prettier, in my opinion. I think it's actually quite a bit prettier. And of course, I don't mind seeing that. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving not only the SRT-6 Crossfire, but finishing the saga, driving every version now of the Chrysler Crossfire? Well, there's a lot of good and a few downsides. The downsides are short in the fact that, yes, this is a 2000s interior. There's a couple plastic squeaks and things like that, but it's well maintained and I like the look of it, so I'm not really bothered by the overall interior. The main downside of this car really is going to be parts availability. Not only is it hard to find someone that will work on a German car sold by Chrysler, but just finding parts for these alone is rather hard. And the SRT-6 is even harder. They only made just under 2,500 of these, with a majority of them being 2005 model year vehicles, because in 2006, they actually moved it to order only. So you had to go into a Chrysler dealer, throw down your checkbook, and beg to have one in 2006. So they are just a lot rarer. But parts availability for this is not great, and it is going to be one of the struggles, and it's only going to get harder as the years go on. However, there is so much to like about this vehicle. That power is fantastic, and it does offer some good tuning opportunities. The owner has already slapped on bigger injectors and a smaller pulley. He's well on his way. Now, he hasn't tuned anything, but you could crack open that ECU, start tuning. And this is a Mercedes engine that was used in other vehicles, so it's at least a little bit well known. It's not a bespoke engine that was used for 2 model years and thrown away. Mercedes used this for years and years and years before it and beyond it, so you can luck out in that way. But it is just fun to drive, and I'm really, really, truly impressed. I wasn't sure which way this car was going to fall, but every Crossfire that I drive, the more Crossfires that I drive, I like them more and more. These cars kind of get dogged on. There's not a whole big community for them, but honestly, like, I'm just thoroughly impressed every time I'm behind the wheel of a Crossfire. And it's one of those cars that never really crosses my mind when I'm looking for, pun unintended. It doesn't crossfire my mind, and it should, because this is just such a fun and great experience. And if you want to drive something truly unique, this might be it. The SRT-6 badge was only ever given to this vehicle. They had the SRT-10 Viper and truck. They had a bunch of SRT-8 Cherokees and Chargers and whatnot. They even had SRT-4s, obviously the Neon, and even the Caliber SRT-4. But this is the only car to bear the SRT-6 badge, and I think that alone is very, very special. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Dan for letting me borrow his SRT-6 Crossfire for today's video. He's been absolutely wonderful to work with, super down to earth, just such a lovely, lovely individual. And he is helping keep these cars on the road, which there's fewer and fewer of every year, so he's really, really doing the enthusiast work. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.